Welcome to the Trauma Informed Lens podcast. I'm your host, Matt Bennett. Each episode we talk about the research and practical aspects of the trauma informed movement. This podcast is not designed to replace mental health services. If you feel uncomfortable or triggered by our discussion, please consider seeking your own trauma treatment. In no way is seeking treatment an admission of weakness. It is a chance to build resiliency and experience post-traumatic growth. You can find show notes, resources, and more at traumainformedlens.org. Welcome to the Trauma Informed Lens podcast. I am back with my good friends Jonathon and Olga for another self-care series. And wow, my friends, the timing could not be better for this. We're a little late on getting this one out, but I hope you forgive us. Olga had a big trip, which because we can't share a glass of wine together, I can't hear all about it yet, which I'm dying to hear about. Yes, and then a pandemic hit. Thank goodness we got Olga back in the country before that all happened.
I know, I would have been stuck in Guatemala.
Yeah, so the whole goal was to get together, have some cheese and cry, just kind of share community, and now we're on Zoom. So anyway, we're going to make the best out of it, and I'm excited to continue the conversation that we started on self-care. And before the epidemic hit, we were going to talk about, have a couple episodes on rituals and the role they play in self-care. And I was kind of thinking that it would be a good idea to kind of keep with that theme, because I think it's a really practical way to look at self-care. And I cannot wait to hear what both of you have to say on this topic. I guess the one thing that I will throw out there sort of to start the ball rolling is, I appreciate from a self-care perspective that as I turn my rituals into habits, they just become part of what I do each day. And the one thing, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's the really awful tasting shake that I eat in the morning because it's healthy for me, nitty potting, gargling, all the things I do. I really, in times like this when there is a much higher level of stress, I really appreciate that those have become habits for me. I always think I need to add something else to those, but one of the things I've really tried to appreciate is how many healthy things I do. Because sometimes I think that when you do something for a long time and it becomes a habit, it's your new baseline. So right. Sometimes I have to just step back and remind myself, hey, I do about 20 healthy things before I sit down and do my work in the morning. So I'm really interested in learning, and I can share mine a little bit as well, but learning about how you see the connection to personal rituals, your own self-care. Olga, and Jonathon, I know we all talk and kind of coach, or, Olga from a therapy perspective, me from a training perspective, Jonathon is a, just a leader in so many parts of your life too, is how you talk about this with other folks. So Olga, let me throw it to you, coming off your Latin American experience and still got some of that glow left.
I still do. It may be gone in a few weeks.
Yeah, you still have it. So talk to me. I imagine this is something you thought a lot about since we've spoken last. So tell me about the rituals. Somehow you look at it personally, and again, maybe just a little bit of the therapeutic thinking around it as well.
Well, of course, yeah. So first of all, one of the things that I'm realizing more and more, the importance of really telling people how much you care about them. So first of all, I just want to say that I so love you both. And, you've been in my life for so long and you've touched my life. And I just want to say that first.
Thank you.
Right? And I'm just reminded every day the importance of really emotionally connecting right now because we can't physically connect.
Yeah.
That has to be turned on and even more and more so in our lives. And so it's interesting enough because I got back from Guatemala with all these ideas and inspirations about like furthering my own self-care and really providing a lot of ideas to my clients and my friends and my family. And then we got hit with this pandemic. And interesting enough, it is setting the, it's setting the tone and the stage to be able to do that. And so, for example, and I say this to my clients and to everyone that I know, I try to practice what I preach, and the importance of our own self care. So, for example, you know, I, you know, I, so I'm just going to share some of what I do right now.
Awesome.
And then how I've been trying to integrate that into my therapeutic practice and really supporting all the people that I'm supporting right now. So, you know, it's so critical to have some form of mindfulness practice, right? And I say mindfulness practice in a more general way because, we all have our different perspectives of what mindfulness practices are, like from meditation to prayers, into guided visualizations. And so, really, the way that I start my morning right now, even more so, is always starting off with some form of mindfulness practice. I do my meditation. I practice, I do my prayers and connect to my own spirituality. That tends to power me up. Um, and the importance of like keeping a schedule. Like even though I'm not driving to my office, I'm finding that having a schedule is so important in terms of keeping ourselves motivated, right? Having a purpose. I've been hearing that more and more from people. What's my purpose right now? I'm at home and I'm helping clients. Like, let's act as if you were going to work. Get up and do your breakfast, go meditate, go exercise, go for a run, do your push-ups, whatever it is that like really empowers you and motivates you in the morning. Take a shower, get dressed, have your cup of coffee or your tea and get ready for the day. All right. Mm-hmm. And I'm also inviting people to do, to keep a journal, talk about gratitude, connect with others, humor. I'm finding that humor is so healthy for my heart right now. Mm-hmm. To have these moments of laughter with people that I know, with my clients. And so, that's important. And really, the social, like what we're doing right now, it's so nourishing right now in these times. And what I'm asking people to do, which I do myself, I feel like I'm not perfect at any of this stuff, right? I do have a baseline, right? I'm the one who gets up really early in the morning. I go for a run. And right now, that is like saving my life.
Yeah. Especially when it's 70 degrees in Denver. Yeah.
With my mask.
Yeah.
Going for my run, right? Doing my meditation, my gratitude journal, making sure that I'm eating a well-balanced meal because I'm finding that people are like forgetting to eat or forgetting to drink their water, staying hydrated. There are so many incredible people out there who are providing us for free virtual meditations, virtual yoga, virtual dance movement. And so I'm really helping people and helping myself to really get myself out of the box.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can't go to the gym right now. I'm the girl who likes to go to the gym and pump iron 3 times a week, right? I can't do that right now. I'm like, what am I going to do? I created a little gym with all sorts of different things in my garage, nice. Right? And it's not, no, it's not the gym, but guess what? You know, it like pushes me and motivates me. Um, so that's a little bit. I mean, I could keep talking, and I'll say a bunch more about that. But you know, I think the piece that I want to say too in all this, I've had my moments, right? You know, I like for the most, you know, I feel resourced. I can provide what my clients need. I'm following up with them. I'm being their accountability buddy right now. For a lot of them, they're like, I don't have structure. I'm finding that I'm, you know, sending a text here or just a little reminder like, you can do this, go for that run or go for that walk or meditate. So, you know, having someone who holds you accountable towards, you know, sort of towards health right now. And it's okay to be vulnerable. You know, there's that for the, you know, 80% of the time I'm feeling good. You know, I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling resourced. I want to help, support. And then there's that other percent where I do have my freak out moments.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I just have to make room for that to exist too. Like, it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
It's okay to be scared and not know what's going to happen in a month from now.
Yeah.
Who are you going to lose?
Yeah.
You know, right? So
Wow.
it's also making room. Like, oh, this is really painful too, and I can't deny that piece. So I'm going to stop there. I can keep talking.
Beautiful.
I'll jump in again.
Well, good. I'm glad Jonathan can follow that.
That was
My
awesome.
friend, I know we've talked a lot about ritual from a group perspective. I know we've had some great conversations over the years about that, and I know you're thinking. So I'm really interested to hear your thoughts and how you've integrated ritual into your life and wellness.
Yeah, there's so much overlap. So the rituals, self-care. The last time we talked, Matt, you talked about positive habits, and then Olga talked about wellness goals. I've been putting those into practice since the last time we met. What am I doing lately? Probably my touchstone is trying to wake up at the same time every day. It's super, super challenging. I don't hit that mark every day, but I know that sets me up for the rest of the day. There's a lot of conversations about meditation and mindfulness, and I've been doing that for years, but for me, as I've continued to self-regulate, just breath work for me is key. So I just do a basic 4 count in and a basic 4 count out, just like that, just like Olga just did that. If you need a little bit more, taking in more, and then a really long exhale. And Matt, I know you do a lot of conversations about polyvagal theory and vagal tone, and whatever you're going through, just never overestimate the relief from just one long, heavy sigh, you know? Yoga, this is probably through my work with different public health folks. I was already doing yoga in the office from my desk. So just kind of some neck releases have been great. Just like that, yeah. And then just anything I could do for my desk, so putting a little pressure between the hands to kind of loosen up shoulders and the like. We can put some stuff together. That's great, Olga. You're really with it. What else? Comfort movies. Do you guys have comfort movies?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That movie you watch over and over
again. What's the comfort movies? I gotta hear.
So it's just like, I was already doing it, and I can watch the same movie a bunch of times over, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or Bring It On, Kill Bill, and it makes me think of comfort food. And then someone else on the internet called it comfort movies, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. Matt, you don't have any?
You know, it's funny. I used to, because you used to own movies, so. You know, I've watched in high school was Die Hard. I watched that every day, one entire summer. I can say that movie word for word. The Matrix 2.
Yes.
So
I love The Matrix.
I did go back because I'm getting off. I was sick for 4 weeks, maybe with COVID-19, who knows. So I did go back to, now that you mention it, to the Lord of the Ring movies, which for many years before I had cable, those things got worn out. So I guess so. I do have a few, though. It's great to live in a world where you can stream 1,000 movies you haven't seen too. So
Olga, what's your comfort movie
now? But
Olga, well, you mentioned a few already. I did watch St. Elmo's Fire the other day, and I loved it. I was like, I felt like back in the 80s, you know, Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah, and then then I've been watching a couple like series that I watched a few about a year ago too. So I'm just like re-looking, and I'm asking people. One of the things that I'm asking, which I love, Jonathon, is I'm asking people like, "What's your favorite movie?" And people are sending me a bunch of stuff. I'm like, "Oh, I've never heard of that one. Let me go check that one out."
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm starting to kind of do a little bit of that, a little bit more. You know, I'm not one who watches a lot of TV, and it's interesting is that I'm finding myself doing a little bit more of that right now, and it's the comfort. I love that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it that way, but it is.
And you, Olga, you talked about dance. You don't need to be a dancer. In different kind of meditation communities, they call it together action. And so just being in synchronized movement with others, even if it's just on YouTube, sometimes I'll put a mirror up and both see myself and see, yes, exactly that. Had a great dance community in Las Vegas, Dance Fitness. If you go into YouTube and put in commit dance, there's some really great basic hip hop steps. That's a great stress relief. One of the ways that we build a great self-regulation practice is around the 3 B's. So it can be breath work, things related to the brain, or educating yourself on how your body works and different systems of the body, and then just body-based practices. So like yoga and dance that we were talking about. And in this chaos, what comes to mind, what I wanted to share is I just always remember when 9/11 happened, people were really quoting Mr. Rogers a lot, Fred Rogers, and he just said to look for the helpers. I see him every day. I see him outside. I see little kids picking up trash outside, and they're always there. Sometimes they're us, and sometimes we need them. So
exactly.
That's what's in my what's in my mix right now.
Yeah.
I just love that you said look for the helpers.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the reminder, the goodness in people, right? That in times like this, there's so many of us that step up, right? And that you see the goodness of humanity, right? And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I mean, I see it every day. I see it with my clients who want to help. I see it my first responders who are out there in the emergency rooms, and so we just got to keep supporting them, empowering them up, right?
Yeah.
Because they're doing incredible work right now for us.
Absolutely. And I think we're expanding that role of helpers in cool ways, like the folks at the grocery store, I know we all appreciate, I don't think they get enough, never really get on the news, but those that are working in the shelters and the child residential facilities, and, maybe not frontline healthcare per se, but are keeping folks alive by providing those basic needs as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's really a reminder for all of us to thank them. I was a couple of weeks ago, I had someone deliver, because I've been hiding here for the last almost 3.5 weeks now. And I just looked at this person. I said, thank you. And he just started to cry. He's like, you're the first person who said thank you today.
Wow.
And I was like, you are my hero. Pay me my groceries. But it's, it's a reminder that we have to, we have to vocalize what we're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wonder if, let's say somebody's listening to this and maybe they don't kind of have their own personal ritual yet. And maybe this is somebody who's in the midst of the pandemic and needs some self-care and realizing that. Or it might be somebody who is, for whatever reason, finding that they have more time on their hand. And I kind of wonder, if we would look to help, what would be some of the essential? I think we talked about mindfulness practice. I always, it seems like the research shows that about 20 minutes a day is ideal, but give whatever you can give to it. Don't be overwhelmed by the 20 minutes. Start out with whatever you can do. And so we talked about that. What are some other, especially right now when self-care is such a challenge for folks? I'd love to say, what would, if we were to kind of construct a ritual, so some rituals for folks to build healthy habits, what were some of the things that you might include on that? Whether they're kind of no-brainers or whether they might be things that are a little unique.
Yeah, what I found, the first thing that I would say to everyone out there is, first of all, you're not alone. Ask for support around this. If you have a buddy or your therapist or a friend or a family member who can help you to a little push, a little reminder, you can do this, you're doing your self-help today. Yeah. So I'm, really inviting a lot of people to do that, to find someone. And I'm doing that with all my clients right now. I'm constantly connecting with my clients around their self-care. But I also remind people, one is there's something about setting up a structure, like a schedule, not to be rigid with it, right? You want to flow with it. But to have something, whether it's on a calendar, whether it's written, these are my goals for today. Yeah. And even show it to someone. Maybe it's the person is helping you. And keep it small, keep it simple, and repetition, right? Repetition, little baby steps. You want to be successful. If you can't do 20 minutes of yoga or 20 minutes of meditation or 20 minutes of a workout, can you do 5 minutes? Maybe we start with 5 minutes. All right. And so what I would invite everyone to do is to think about, what are the things that nourish you? And I think of it in these areas, sort of physical. And the physical could be anything from a physical exercise, right? Yoga. Whether it's walking or running, there's a whole lot of things we can't do right now, right? But we have to get creative here. But find what is it that you like, and you're going to do small, little bit of it at a time, repetitively, even over the day. Maybe it is that you take 5 minutes this morning and then you take another 5 minutes in the afternoon. And so, I want you to be successful at this. That means there's no expectation of doing an hour yoga. You have to be gentle with yourself right now, right? So physical, spiritual, emotional, right? The spiritual, find whatever it is that you connect to, right? Whatever your higher power is, or what makes meaning for you, and have a small little daily practice, even if it's for a couple of minutes, right? I think of nutrition, making sure that you're drinking a lot of water and taking your vitamins, and making sure that you're eating your meals, and, and checking in when you're feeling like you're slipping in one way or another with that. Social connection. Making sure that you connect at least with one person a day. And then there's the intellectual. I'm telling, I remind people, this is, if you're stuck at home, maybe this is a time to get a certification. Maybe this is a time to, take that training you wanted to take. So I'll encourage you to figure out, what is it that you enjoy physically? How do you want to emotionally connect? Do you have a therapist? If you don't have a therapist, I'm biased, of course. I'm going to tell you, get your therapist. Get someone who can support you through this. your social connection, your spiritual connection, and a little bit at a time. And if you have a hard time with it, ask for help. It's important right now. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Wow, Olga, that was really like the full 360, And so you said, tell a friend, that's so helpful, and then connect with one person a day, right? There's a therapist online similar to what you said, starting small, and she calls it just a small daily promise that you keep to yourself. In terms of the folks out there trying to build their own practice, so I needed a lot of structure in the beginning. I need like a box set. I need you to give me the steps. And so many years ago, there was a free meditation challenge with Deepak Chopra and Oprah. And it was 21 days, maybe 15 or 20 minutes a day. And that was my scaffolding. Since then, I've adapted it to kind of meet my own needs. Again, always starting small and setting yourself up to succeed. It really is about, for me, routine and rest. I work for in the social services here in Denver now, and they'll say that self-care can either be proactive or reactive. If you get burnt out, that's cool. We all do it. I'm just knowing what that feels like and trying to do some prevention around it. I would call it kind of my self-care bank account, and just continue to make small investments and small deposits in it. So if you want some more suggestions around kind of pre-made sets, one suggestion is a website called maptrainmybrain.com. And it is an hour or so practice facilitated by a lady named Dr. Shores, and it covers those three bases that I was telling you guys about prior. So body, brain, and breath.
Nice.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Jonathon.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I think a few things that I found in the research, because I agree, the proactive and reactive, and even I challenge people, your reactive better be structured before you need it, because the worst time to think about your own health is when you're a wreck. You want to have that plan. But one of the things that I challenge folks in my self-care trainings is to think about yourself. If you're in a helping field or a healing profession, is think of yourself as an athlete who prepares, or a musician who prepares for their performance. And because of the high rates of burnout, I think rituals and creating those structured habits are just the best way, where you're doing healthy things without even really thinking about it. And
right.
So my routines, and that's the weird thing about the habits as well, is then they become your baseline. And sometimes, I hate the commercials where somebody takes a vitamin and now they feel like they have all the energy in the world, right? Those just drive me crazy, because I think we're kind of told that is the happiness, right? Is if you just find the right ingredients to put in your morning shake, you will be euphoric all day long. But so I think just how many little things can you build in, like a great research out there. And I have a challenge where I work from a home office. So I know a lot of us people listening are also in the situation I'm in every day. So really there's been some great research. If you can just get outside for 5 minutes in the morning, it really gets your system set. So, I got 2 dogs. So it's that great morning walk of, okay, the sun's out, I'm getting my systems, it's morning, and that message is sent. And as you guys said, also some nice research about some sort of physical activity as part of sort of your morning routine. And I do a little bit of stuff that kind of looks like Tai Chi, called Wing Chun forms, just kind of gets my body awake. And then the mindfulness is, I love the moving meditations, because I get bored really easy just trying to clear my mind. So the fact I can do, movements and focus on movements and breath, I find really useful, and just kind of getting that locked in. And the other thing that I really value is learning as well. I think for me, that's just something. So, my wife, in normal times when she's not stuck at home with me, she's pretty much out the door, even sometimes before I wake up. So, morning, I usually have a podcast or an audiobook I'm listening to. So I get up in the morning and I turn that on. So one of the things I do, and you guys know I'm big into this heart rate variability stuff too. So I turn the podcast on and I take my heart rate variability reading, which sort of tells me the energy I have for my day. So that allows me to just know, hey, I'm ready for a good run today. I can push myself a little bit. Or, I've been worn down this week. So, I just might want to take a longer walk with the dogs at lunch instead of a harder run. But it's great between getting up in the morning, walking the dogs, getting breakfast ready. I get about an hour worth of learning in before I kind of sit down at my desk, because my commute is literally like 3 feet across the hall. So it's those little things that, I think that just become part of that progression. And then, just thinking about, especially for breakfast, what you're putting in your body. I take a multivitamin because I'm a vegan and you just can't get everything when you're a vegan, but like adding maybe an anti-inflammatory in there, like a turmeric, or I can never pronounce it right. DHA I find is and I'm not selling any of these, so this is just research, but really in many ways I want to say, when I sit down after my mindfulness movement routine, I want to be in a biological and psychological state where I'm really ready to do my best work. And I find I get this beautiful creative stretch for about 90 minutes. Then I take a little bit of break. I get another 90 minutes in, and I get sometimes more work done in 3 hours than I used to get done in an office in like two days.
Totally.
Yeah, just because I'm ready to go, right? And I get tired after that because it's like I've been on this really long sprint. But, it's just I've really tried to prepare myself to, somebody who talks about trauma, reads about trauma constantly. It's like, man, I've got to go above and beyond. I think most of our listeners need to take this too, is I've got to really balance that with some really healthy habits. So, it's just like I said, and all that right now is, unless I'm on vacation or sick, that it's just part of my habit. So it's really good. And then I have to find ways not to totally lose it if I've got that disruption there. But pretty good. And even when I'm traveling the East Coast, where they want you to start at 6 o'clock our time to start a training, still get up 20 minutes, 25 minutes early to get that routine in, because I'm so much better if I do that than if I sleep in for an extra 20 minutes, which sometimes I really would love to hit the snooze bar. But
I hear you.
But again, I love Jonathon using that scaffolding, like what would you build around you? And then again, I found it just so useful to take the time off sometimes just to count the healthy things I do. Like I nini pot in the morning. It's just part of the routine.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
I drink a yerba mate, huge antioxidant tea. Now it wakes me up in the morning. I'm not going to lie to you. I get the caffeine. But I also remind myself, hey, this is like the biggest, highest packed antioxidant drink that I can have. So it's like I'm trying to force the placebo effect in there as well, to say, hey, I'm taking all of this stuff because it really has these benefits. So sometimes I just count all the good things I do to remind myself that, hey, I know you feel like it's just a normal Tuesday, Matt, but you're actually doing a lot of really good things for yourself. So that reminder is a little hack that I try to bring in there as well.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've been thinking about, I need to include a little bit more of my own reading, my own studying. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to try doing that in the mornings.
Yeah.
I do have a little, I have some time in the morning now that I'm not commuting.
Yeah.
To be able to, I like that, because towards the end of the day, I find that, I'm just more tired and I just want more social connection at that point.
Yeah. Well, you gotta give yourself permission too. Like like I do trauma up until about 4 o'clock, and then I try not to do any more trauma. Like I have my funny podcast. I always have a workbook I'm reading and a for fun book that mostly I like audiobooks. So I've got two going at any time. But I think, when you speak to that too, giving ourselves permission, because I think a few of the best habits I've developed, and again, all this comes out of the research, is around most of my days, about 3:30, 4 o'clock for most days is a pretty hard stop for me. And I don't check email at night. I rarely will bring trauma into my evenings. If I'm taking the dogs for a long walk, I'll listen to a Kung Fu book or something along those lines that has nothing to do with work and trauma. So I think those really, if you want to start a really good ritual, I think we need to learn to disconnect. Yeah. Maybe more than anything. It might seem like such a passive ritual of not doing anything, but if you want to look at the research, disconnecting, right. If you want to bring your best self to your clients, your patients the next day, it's one of the healthiest things you can do.
It's go ahead, Olga.
No, it's really quick. I was just going to reminds me of what boundaries.
Yeah.
Like it's so critical to have boundaries, especially now. I'm seeing so many people people are living together that are used to, families used to going out and working outside. And, I'm encouraging people to still create these boundaries at home. Jonathon, you were going to say something there.
It's so true. And you always talk to us about powering up. And then Matt, you're talking about like a shutdown ritual, right?
I know.
And I have like this really old laptop, but that's for my personal use. And that's so that I disengage from my work computer. And Matt, as you were talking, what came to mind is this is kind of this really massive invitation for people to explore all the topics that we are talking about. Mm-hmm. I would say that it's never restrictive. That's not really served me well. It's typically adding these little niceties, these little yummy bits that are more positive and have a good feeling, and you're finding what feels good. And then that starts to take up more of your time. When I came at it from a restrictive perspective, I'm going to not drink that extra beer or eat fried food. I was just a little less successful. So I found that the additive approach worked better for me, in case that helps anyone. Matt, you're talking about heart rate. I know that's so your thing right now. Would encourage people to just Google window of tolerance. Just to get that conscious education piece going. You can begin to kind of understand your own brain and your own body. Where am I at? Okay, I'm looking at this window of tolerance. It's telling me that when I'm in this zone, people typically feel this way. Either I'm overexcited on one end, or I'm feeling really lethargic on the other end, something like that. Bringing it back to work, Ryan Holiday wrote a bunch of books. Ego is the enemy. Stillness is the key. He carries around a postcard every day, index card. He writes down the 2 things he's going to do that day, the 2 most important things. And so I keep both sides blank. So maybe 2 things for work. What are the most 2 important things for me today for work? And then for myself, for that work-life balance, I'm going to put the other 2 things on the back.
Thank you, Jonathon. I'm going to try that too. I love that. This also reminds me of what I say to myself and what I say to my clients and loved ones. Self-compassion and gentleness and ease. Like, this is not the best time for us to be hard on ourselves. Like, if we don't get anything right, if we don't have the right structure, if we're not meditating enough, if we're not doing yoga enough, whatever. I remind people like, wow, we're in a pandemic. Okay, this is like the first in our lifetime, and it's okay if you don't get it right, and just be really gentle with yourself and make room for all of it to exist right now. Right, we get to be messy too. Going back to that vulnerability is allow yourself to be vulnerable. Give yourself that space. Ask for help. Right. write a letter to yourself. You know, that's one thing that I'm
Wow.
actually going to do this tomorrow. I was listening to Melissa Gilbert and one of her talks around love, self-love, and she encouraged us to write a love letter to ourselves
Mm.
around what's happening now in our lives. I started to do a little bit of that, and I spent like 5 minutes this morning. I thought, wow, this is powerful. Like it actually brought me to tears. Like a love letter to myself. So I'm just going to encourage people to maybe do a little writing. Like, what do you want to say to yourself right now?
Yeah.
You know, those parts of you that get a little scared right now, right? Like, it's okay. I got you. I love you. You're going to
Mm.
be okay, right? I'll be here with you. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Uh, everything you just, so writing a letter to myself, I call it yummy. It's just yummy. It's so satisfying. I think Rick Hansen would call it psychological nourishment. When those moments happen, either spontaneously or from you, he says to bring a really big spoon. I really enjoyed that. I don't know if next time you all want to talk about any more technical pieces or genuine practices, if those are more kind of things you want to explore.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be.
Yeah. So just a few more takeaways I would think is I think again for folks to really think, especially if you're in a different situation where you're either in the intensity of being one of those essential people, and if you are, thank you for the
Thank you.
guy who feels horrible that the best thing I can do for society is stay freaking home. I thank you, because it's not in my nature. I want to be in the game right now. I just, nobody wants an in-person training. So thank you. But what I really am worried about right now, and I think when we talk about rituals, this is a way to combat what I'm seeing on the news and other places is we know folks in healthcare, social services, are some of the most burnout professions already. I mean, you doctors, nurses, teachers, therapists, social workers are all up there, and our first responders are our companions in the top 10 list. And one of the things I really worry about as I listen to the nurses and the physicians on the front line is, not feeling like they can disengage. Like, this patient, they're just there. And one of the things, whether you're sitting at home like me or you're out there in the front lines, is our ability to manage stress directly impacts our autoimmune systems. And so one of the things we see with burnout is we do not have the ability to fight off illness. So my greatest fear is not only do we start out with professions working in a pandemic who are already the most vulnerable people to this work stress, we're adding all this on top of this. And even if you're sitting at home, I know we're all carrying around different levels of stress too. We've got to be careful of this. And I think even if you can just start, I love how Jonathon reminds us, you don't have to go totally crazy, and don't think that any of us who are talking, 20 minutes a day, we didn't all start here. You rewind my career 20 years and you would not find one healthy ritual in my life at that point. So, but it's, I think even if you can just do 5 minutes of just breathing, and that's all you're doing, or doing some jumping jacks for a few minutes to get your heart rate up. I'm just really worried about people's immune systems right now, because as somebody who I believe had COVID-19, and I don't have proof I did because we can't get tested, you don't want this thing. It is miserable. So just a reminder out there is that this isn't just about our psychological health. This is about not getting this awful disease if you can avoid it too.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, this has been a great discussion. So I think we got some thoughts about next week's. I know we're also going to look at some group rituals, which might also be a really good topic that, and again, I've seen Olga and Jonathon, you are my role models for this, about how we can bring healthy rituals social rituals, psychological rituals into our teams. I think when we record it, I think our challenge is, how do you do that over Zoom as well?
Yeah.
So we'll give ourselves a little extra credit assignment to think about that as well. But I think that'll be a really nice transitional topic, and maybe Jonathan bring some of those genuine practices into that conversation as well. But I hope we gave you some thoughts. I think a takeaway we can all kind of go around as a takeaway from this is, again, try to build those habits. Usually it looks like about 66 days. It used to be 21 days when the world was a better place, but now it seems to be in the 60s to really form a habit. So just start building it, because day one is always going to be day one. So, if you want to start out with just 5 minutes of a healthy practice, start there. And I think I'm also taking away what Olga said about boundaries too, is I think that's a great reminder to say, my wife and I are pretty good at it, is she likes the vlog. So, she's got those shows. I've got This Thing's Getting Me Through. I've got a virtual reality machine. So I can escape reality for like an hour a day and go fight zombies or something, which
I was wondering who bought those. It's you.
Yes, it's great to like get out of my house.
I love it.
I can just disappear into a whole nother world and I only give myself like an hour a day. And yes, I am 45-year-old man playing zombie video games. So I'll take that. But awesome. I'm taking away the boundaries thing, and to keep those really there, and give yourself permission to have those conversations with, especially for those of you with kids that are now home and you're trying to teach them as well. It's okay to take 5 minutes to yourself if you can work that in during the day. Any other take-homes or takeaways you guys have from our great conversation?
I think just have little moments, right, of doing something. Be gentle with yourself, self-compassion. Try, there's so many things that you can do. It doesn't have to look a particular way. Mm-hmm. Find what nourishes you, right, and move towards that. Have an accountability buddy, right? And even like this process right now, like I have some takeaways, like things that I want to do now that I wasn't even thinking about. So I would encourage all of you to really connect with each other around, what are you doing for self-care? Because, some of your friends or colleagues are probably doing something that you didn't think about, right? Self-compassion.
Awesome.
Love, emotional connection. Awesome. Just because we're physically not together doesn't mean we can't be emotionally together. So thank you.
Beautiful. Jonathan, what about you, my friend?
I would say, as Brene Brown says, the stronger your boundaries, the more mileage you're going to get out of your compassion. That when she studied compassionate people, they had boundaries of steel. In terms of our rituals and self-care, I would invite everyone to start small by just taking one long, slow breath at the same time every day.
Yeah.
I would invite you to close your eyes. I know it is kind of counterintuitive, but just taking that one long, slow breath, and to stay brave and keep taking care of each other and looking out for each other.
Awesome. Great way to end. So it was great. I needed this discussion. It was great to see you both, and we'll try to get another episode out there a little quicker next time. So hey, we're all in the habit of the pandemic, unfortunately, at this point. So maybe we can get another one out sooner rather than later. But okay, Jonathan, thank you. Our listeners, you can find show notes. You can watch videos on YouTube. You can find all that at traumainformedlens.org. So please take care of yourself, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.